Jared here at Universal Studios in Orlando for opening weekend of Halloween Horror Nights 31, and in this video I'm going to be doing my, I guess it's pretty much an annual video, but my Stay and Scream video for the year. And this year it's pretty interesting because they have doubled the amount of Stay and Scream areas that are available in the park. So things are quite a bit different than previous years. So let me get in there and start showing them. It's going to be filmed over, 3-4 days to get each one of the Stay and Scream areas.
We're going to be heading back to New York Stay and Scream on this first night. And I was incorrect. It is not double the amount of Stay and Screams. It's actually only one additional one. Originally, I talked to a park employee and they said that there was 5 Stay and Screams. And really, that would be the 2 that they usually have, plus Hello Kitty, and then 2 new ones. But that wasn't the case. It was just one additional one. Also, I'm going to be joined by my friend Disco Hero Vision, who also has a YouTube channel. I'll put his channel in a link in the description below. They started letting everybody in just a little bit past 4, and I'm thinking because there are 4 Stay and Screams, this New York area might not be nearly as bad, even with a large portion of it blocked off by construction, which I'll show in a second. So people are still coming in. So I'm sure it'll fill up a bit more, but this isn't too bad. And I will repeat, the house for New York today is Halloween. So there is a cool food booth in here in New York right down in Sting Alley, but it doesn't look like it's open yet for Stay and Scream. In fact, it might just be for when the park opens up regular, but I'll keep an eye on that. And if they do start selling food, I'll let you know. This is what I was referring to earlier when I said a large portion of New York is blocked off for construction or refurbishment. This is the street where Finnegan's is. Runs right down between Finnegan's, and on the other side is the Film Vault. But as you can see, a large portion of it is not accessible this year. So another look at that, just to show you the width also of the blocked off area. You can see there's actually nobody hanging out over here in this side of New York. It's quite empty. So if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the crowd, you want to get away, probably be able to walk over on this side, hang out for a bit, then run and get in line when they start lining up for the house. And none of these booths nor the bar is open yet. So yeah, this is pretty great. This is usually always packed. So either Halloween's not a popular first night house for people, or first house of the night rather, or the 4 areas have just diluted the crowd enough to where you're gonna have a lot of room in each of them. These booths are preparing food and serving, so you can at least today, right now, do these ones, and this is right in front of Finnegan's. The other ones though in this area are still not running. It is now 4:30 and people have been lining up to get into the house for quite a while. It's not released yet. We're just preparing. We still probably got at least 30 or so minutes, but I kind of let you know, I'll point back here, just how long the line is getting. So if you want to get into the house quick, you're going to want to line up right away. But we have been released. It is 5 o'clock and we are heading into Halloween. You can see they got the fog going up there. Hopefully they're going to start bringing out some props soon. It is now 5:20 or 20 after 5 and the house has officially opened. We're going to be heading in. And it also looks like a storm might be hitting soon. So it is now 20 to 6 out of Halloween. It was pretty dang good. And I'm not sure what house we're going to be able to go into next. It is 10 to 6 and we're heading into Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake. Looks like we're probably only going to get 2 houses done before the park opens, so that's a little weird. So it is now 5 after 6. We're done with Stay and Scream in New York. The park is now open, but that got us through 2 houses, Halloween and Dead Man's Pier. But you could have went through Chupacabra as well instead of Dead Man's Pier. One last final word. First of all, Dead Man's Pier is sweet, dude. That house is amazing. It's only a 15-minute wait still, but Chupacabra's up to 45. But there you go. All right, on to the next scare zone. Or I'm sorry, Stay and Scream. For night 2 of opening weekend, we decided to do the Springfield Stay and Scream, which includes the haunted house, weekend after hours, nightmare, and the house. Universal Monsters Legends Collide. Now, you don't actually line up in Springfield to start. You get queued up in the Central Park area and then released into Springfield. And another difference this year, prior to the other years I've done Springfield is it's just the two houses so far. In the past, it would either be the two parade buildings plus the Men in Black tent or one of the sprung tents. That wasn't going on this weekend, and the Men in Black tent's not being used for a location anyhow, but I'm hoping as the season progresses that perhaps they'll open up one of those sprung tents for the Stay and Scream as well. So we have not been released into Springfield. We're actually lined up to do the haunted house. And this is the line for the weekend. That's the one we're going to try to knock out first, because the line so far has gotten pretty busy on the opening weekend. It's a good house. The other line is down there for Legends Collide, and doesn't really look like there's many people lining up for it. One of the drawbacks to lining up this early for the weekend in the Stay and Scream area is we're pretty much just baking here in the sun without any shade. We have a little tiny bit of cloud coverage that's just arrived here in the last minute or so. But the pro is you can watch them do maintenance on the lagoon for the Ghoulish show. 5:31, and they finally released us to start heading back to the weekend line. Seems like a bit later than we're used to, or at 5:30. We usually release you at least like by quarter after. At least yesterday in New York, we were released into the haunted house line at about 10 after 5. I think this is Legends Collide waiting to get released so they can get in line for it. Pretty sure they released us first for the weekend, which right now is only a 45-minute wait. So unfortunately, depending on where we are in line, this might be the only house we get to do before the park opens. And yeah, you can see right there, Legends is closed, so they have not put them in line yet. It is almost 6 o'clock. We finally have just stopped in line for the weekend, and over there you can see Legends Collide. They just opened it up, and you see the first group of people starting to go in now. Meanwhile, over here, we're gonna have a pretty decent wait, so doing Springfield this year might not net you a bunch of houses before the park opens like it has in the past. However, the weekend, this was a great house, so it might be good for you to just do it and be able to get this one out of the way before the wait is too long. So we are out of that house the weekend at 6:13. So if you take into consideration when they finally released us, it was about a 43 minute wait for us. So even though the park is already open and Stay and Scream is actually over at the time, I'm gonna do one more house just to sort of tie it into the Springfield area. And then after that, I'll show you the actual Springfield Stay and Scream, what you can do while you're in there. We got out of Descendants of Destruction just a little bit before 7. So as you can see, for us this year, doing Springfield, at least on this particular night, didn't really get us a whole lot of houses in before the park opened. It was pretty much just the weekend. All right, next up I'll just show you the actual Springfield area. This is what you can expect if you do the Simpsons Stay and Scream and don't get into the haunted houses right away. You'd be corralled either on this side of Springfield, and you can go in to the restaurants and get a Krusty Burger, or you can kind of hang out on the other side. There's some seating down there by the lagoon, and you have access to the Duff Beer Bar. So while Springfield didn't work out for us this year as far as getting a lot of houses done because they weren't releasing any to the sprung tent, it still might be a good Stay and Scream area for you because it is air conditioned inside these restaurants and there is quite a bit of space. This is the 4th Stay and Scream area, and we're not actually going to do this one because they're only open 3 days opening weekend, and I want to get this out for everybody before the 2nd weekend. This one is in San Francisco, right here by the Richter Burger, so you do have some air conditioning back in there and access to Chez Alcatraz if you want to get a drink. This house is Blumhouse, and I'll show you where that's at here. Blumhouse is right here. As you can see, it's going to open up at 5:45 today. So far this weekend, this has had a fairly long wait time for the 2 days that we've been open. It's an okay house. So today we're going to be doing the Stay and Scream right here by Today Cafe. Now, I don't believe this actually opens up to any house, but the advantage of doing this one is you can get into the park and watch the opening ceremonies, which you can't see from any of the other Stay and Screams. Now the entrance to Cell Block, or Hell Block rather, is right over there, so after the ceremonies you could just immediately head into that, and it's sort of like being in a Stay and Scream that opens up early. The disadvantage of this one is it's kind of small,
and you're all the way in the front of the park, so when it does officially open, you gotta battle everybody to get to any haunted house other than Hell Block. Anyhow, the park closed at 5 o'clock, but you can still see just a ton of people leaving. But there was an equal amount coming in earlier for Horror Nights, so it's probably gonna be pretty packed tonight. So there we go, we did 3 stand screams for this weekend. We just skipped the one. I think New York was the best bet because we seem to get the most houses done, but which one did you enjoy the most?
No, I think definitely New York was the best. I mean, in general, the New York areas usually have like the biggest house, and in this case it was Halloween, and we were able to get in at, what, 5:10?
Yeah.
A little 10 minutes after 5, and get through that, and then also line up for Dead Man's Pier before even it opened. So it's definitely a must. I mean, compared to when we went to Springfield Central Park area, they only let us in at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it was like almost 6 o'clock when the weekend opened.
When the event started, yeah.
And then, so we didn't get...
And then that line was actually fairly long, like a 35-minute wait.
Right, so that Stay and Scream only got us 1 before the park. New York at least got us 2, and then of course today we didn't get any.
Yeah,
but then there's the San Francisco. Yeah, essentially, yeah. So I guess you could count that as, hey, at least at 6 o'clock we walked right onto Chupacabra.
And then the opening ceremony is pretty awesome, I gotta say.
Yeah, absolutely. That was actually the first time I'd ever seen the ceremonies. And then I'm not sure how San Francisco would have been going right into Blumhouse, but I'm kind of betting that one, you know, you could do Blumhouse and then maybe you could have made it right over to Chupacabra and got walked in, so you probably could have got 2 houses in over doing that.
Probably 2. I mean, so you're so in an area where the two closest houses are fairly far away from each other, compared to, say, if you're in Central Park, if you chose either Weekend or Legends Collide, you could easily queue up for that one.
Right.
Whereas, like, coming out of this one, you have to make a walk to either end. However, it would probably be short either way.
Yeah. Well, I definitely felt like this year was a much different Scare Zone or Stay and Scream experience. Because in years past, if I did Springfield, I'd get, you know, usually 3 houses done before the park opened.
And now you have easy access to drinking food if you need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Air conditioning.
What was really easy to get to for what's available was New York.
Right. Hopefully this video helped you out if you were deciding whether or not to attempt to do the Stay and Scream this year and you hadn't done it in the past. I do know that they offer like a $35 Scream Early ticket that gets you into the park a little bit early and allows you to do the Stay and Screams. I'm also hoping that things change a little bit with them, like I stated throughout the video. I'm kind of hoping they start opening up those houses early, and perhaps it was just opening weekend that things were shifted a bit, but it did feel different than it had in the past. We didn't feel like we had the house advantage that we've had before as far as getting houses done before everybody started piling into the park. But like I said, maybe it was just an opening weekend thing, or perhaps it was it's Labor Day weekend, so maybe they were just having a harder time clearing the park out. Either way, hopefully this helps. Thanks for watching.